The sky above Killer Prime burned red with alien fire. The Dominion's bombardment never stopped. Not for an hour, not for a breath. Each blast shook the broken city like the fist of an angry god. Smoke coiled into the clouds, turning daylight into a dim, choking twilight. Captain Elias Cade crouched behind the jagged remains of Stonewall, his rifle pressed to his shoulder, eyes fixed on the shattered avenue ahead. The barrel was hot from overuse, the ammunition counter flashing dangerously low. His regiment, what was left of it, huddled in the ruins around him, exhausted faces smeared with dirt and blood, eyes hollow but still sharp. They were running on grit alone. A burst of static cracked across the sky. Dominion loudspeakers boomed in their guttural alien tongue, the translation bleeding from broken comms on human frequencies. Terrans, surrender. You are extinct. The words echoed down ruined streets, bouncing off the husks of burned-out towers. Soldiers stirred uneasily, some muttering curses, others spitting into the dust. Cade spat too, a streak of red against the rubble. He rose just enough to peer over the wall, scanning for movement in the haze. Extinct, he muttered, voice ragged but steady. He chambered his last round. Then watch how legends die. Private Callan, barely 19 and still fresh-faced under grime, heard him. Sir, you really think they'll remember us? His hands shook as he reloaded a magazine, lips pale. Cade met his eyes. If we make them bleed, they'll never forget. That answer was enough. Callan nodded, jaw tightening. Fear shifted into determination. That was all Cade needed. Small sparks of defiance in men who had nothing left. From somewhere deeper in the ruins came the thunder of alien engines. The Dominion was massing again. Cade knew the sound well. The steady, crawling hum of their armored walkers, the kind that reduced defenses to rubble. Sergeant Imani slid into cover beside him. Helmet cracked, one arm bound in bloody bandages. Her voice was low, rasping. Scouts say 2 platoons inbound. Couple of walkers. Casualties? Cade asked. Half the squad that checked. Rest and make it back. She hesitated, then forced a grim smile. We've got enough rockets left for maybe one of those beasts. After that, it's knives and prayers. Cade didn't flinch. He had no illusions left about their odds. He simply nodded. One's enough. Make it count. The sergeant saluted with her good hand and disappeared back into the smoke. For a moment, silence hung heavy between bombardments. Cade leaned against a stone and closed his eyes. His mind flashed, unbidden, to green fields on Earth, a memory so sharp it hurt. His daughter chasing fireflies in summer dusk. She'd never see this war. She'd never know what became of him. But maybe she would hear the stories. Maybe she would know that when humanity was pushed to the edge, they hadn't fallen. The thought steadied him. Gunfire erupted down the avenue. A Dominion patrol, advancing cautiously, shadows slipping through the dust. Cade raised his rifle. Targets ahead, he barked. His men answered with a ragged volley. Muzzle flashes lit the ruins, cutting down the first wave of insectoid warriors. The Dominion shrieked, returning fire in sizzling bursts of plasma that scorched stone and flesh alike. Corporal Havers toppled forward, chest smoking, dead before he hit the ground. Someone swore but kept firing. Hold the line. Cade roared. He fired until the counter hit 0, then drew his sidearm and kept shooting. Each shot was a promise. Each kill a reminder to the enemy. Humanity wasn't gone yet. The first walker lurched into view, a towering, chitin-plated machine, legs stabbing into cracked pavement. Its mounted cannon swiveled, glowing bright. Imani! Cade shouted. A whistle, then a streak of smoke. The rocket screamed across the street and struck the walker square in its armored chest. The explosion ripped through its plating, fire spewing from its insides. The machine shrieked as it collapsed, legs folding in on themselves. The men cheered, voices raw but triumphant. The second walker advanced through the flames. No rockets left. Cade steadied his pistol, knowing it wouldn't matter. Still, he aimed. If this was the moment, he'd face it standing. But the Dominion hesitated. The line of alien soldiers wavered as the burning wreck of their war machine smoldered in the street. A pause. A flicker of doubt. Cade saw it. He seized it. "Push them back," he bellowed. His men surged forward from cover, bayonets and blades flashing, voices raised in a desperate roar. The Dominion, unprepared for such reckless ferocity, faltered. Some fell, some fled. Plasma fire raked the ruins, but the Terrans kept coming, fury in their eyes, death in their hands. By the time the second walker withdrew into the haze, half of Cade's regiment lay dead or dying, but the Dominion had broken off. Against all odds, they'd won this round. Breathing hard, Cade stood in the wreckage, pistol smoking, chest heaving. Around him, soldiers laughed breathlessly, clutching each other's shoulders, alive for another hour. Private Callan stumbled to his side, face streaked with grime and tears. We did it." Cade didn't smile. He looked out over the street, littered with bodies, burning machines, and ash. His voice was iron. "No, we just told them the truth." Callan frowned. "What truth?" Cade holstered his pistol, staring toward the sky where alien warships blotted out the sun. "That humanity doesn't break. We burn." Archduke Veritha's mandibles clicked in irritation as he studied the holographic display of Kalar Prime. The map pulsed with red symbols where Dominion forces had advanced, and stubborn clusters of blue where Terran still resisted. One such cluster blinked defiantly in the heart of a ruined city. "Unacceptable," he growled, his voice like stone grinding on stone. His lieutenants stood rigid around the command chamber, tall insectoid figures gleaming in the glow of tactical screens. One dared to speak. "Excellency, the humans fight with reckless persistence. They do not withdraw even when hopelessly outnumbered." Veritha's compound eyes narrowed. Persistence? Stupidity. A beast that gnashes its teeth in the trap is no threat. It only dies more slowly. Another officer shifted uneasily. "Our patrols report heavy casualties. Their ambushes strike at vulnerable points. They adapt faster than projected. Adaptation without discipline is chaos," Vera snapped. "And chaos is crushed beneath order. I will not dignify these primitives with fear." His claw tapped the projection, marking the human regiment's position. "Concentrate fire. Reduce their sector to ash. Let the galaxy watch them vanish." The lieutenants bowed, though hesitation lingered. Verith ignored it. In his long life, no lesser species had withstood Dominion might for more than a season. These Terrans were no different. They would die, and their defiance would be forgotten. Across the city, Captain Elias Cade crouched in the shadows of a collapsed structure, listening to the distant thrum of Dominion artillery. The ground trembled with each blast. His men were scattered among the ruins, digging in, scavenging whatever weapons and rations they could find. Sergeant Imani returned, limping from another reconnaissance sweep. She dropped to one knee beside him, helmet clutched under her arm. "Bad news, sir." Cade didn't flinch. "That's all we get these days." "They're tightening the noose." Scouts counted 3 regiments moving in. Heavy armor, too. She paused, voice low. "They're not pulling back this time." Cade rubbed the scar on his jaw, a habit he barely noticed anymore. "They mean to end us." "Yes, sir." He exhaled slowly. He had known this day was coming. Still, hearing it confirmed twisted his gut. Private Callan approached, carrying a crate of scavenged ammunition. His face was pale under grime, but his voice held steady. "We've got enough rounds for maybe one more big fight. After that, Cade finished, we fight with what we've got." The young soldier hesitated, then asked, "Do you think Earth even knows we're still alive?" Cade looked at him, eyes cold but steady. "Doesn't matter. What matters is the Dominion knows. They'll remember what it cost to bury us." Callan nodded, setting his jaw, and carried the crate away. Imani leaned closer. "You believe that?" "I have to," Cade answered. His voice was quiet, almost himself. "If we're forgotten, then every man and woman who fell here already lost twice." Night crept over Kalar Prime, though the sky glowed with fire. The Terrans huddled in the ruins, patching wounds, reloading weapons, and whispering memories of home. Someone hummed an old Earth song, soft but steady, a fragile thread of humanity in the dark. Cade sat apart, cleaning his sidearm with mechanical precision. He needed the ritual to keep his mind sharp. A shadow moved near him. Private Torres, grizzled and scarred, dropped beside him with a weary grunt. "Hell of a day, Captain." Cade smirked faintly. "Aren't they all?" Torres lit a battered cigarette, shielding the ember from the wind. "Men are scared. Can't blame them. Word is the Dominion's bringing half their army down on us tomorrow." "They should be scared," Cade said flatly. "Fear keeps you alive. Just don't let it decide for you." Torres exhaled smoke, eyes fixed on the burning horizon. "Still think we got a chance?" Cade reassembled the pistol, slid it into its holster, and met Torres's gaze. "Chance doesn't matter. What matters is how we spend what's left." Torres nodded slowly. "Guess that's enough." They sat in silence, listening to the distant rumble of alien engines. Far above, in the Dominion command vessel, Vareth addressed his war council. "Tomorrow we break them," he declared. "Not one human leaves Kaler Prime alive." A young officer shifted uneasily. "Excellency, if they resist again, word may spread. Other subject species might." "Silence." Vareth's mandibles clicked sharply. "Let them spread their stories. Let the weak believe in myths. When we scatter the Terran's bones, those same whispers will die in their throats. Fear is a weapon, and I wield it." The chamber fell silent. None dared challenge him. Vareth turned back to display, savoring the thought of crushing this last pocket of resistance. In his mind, the humans were already dead. On the ground, Cade finished his rounds, checking on each squad. He offered no false comfort, only presence, only certainty that he would be with them to the end. When he returned to his post, Callan was waiting, rifle across his knees. "Can't sleep?" Cade asked. The young soldier shook his head. "Too quiet. Feels like the whole planet's holding its breath." Cade sank down beside him. For a moment they listened to the wind whistle through broken towers. "Sir," Callan asked softly, "what if tomorrow's it? What if we don't make it through?" Cade looked at him, voice firm. "Then tomorrow the Dominion learns what it costs to kill a Terran, and the galaxy learns that fire doesn't die easy." Callan held his gaze, then nodded once. Above them, the stars were dim through the haze. Cade stared up at them, imagining Earth somewhere out there, blue and alive. He let the thoughts settle like armor around his heart. When dawn came, he would be ready. The dawn came in fire. Orange light spilled across the horizon, but it wasn't the sun. It was a Dominion bombardment, searing the ruins in relentless arcs. The ground shook beneath Captain Elias Cade's boots as the sky screamed with falling plasma. He crouched behind a fractured wall, helmet tilted low, watching the avenue ahead. Dust fell in sheets from broken stone. His men waited in silence, weapons clutched in trembling hands. The storm was coming, closer with every thunderous step. "Contact in minutes," Sergeant Amani said, sliding into cover beside him. Her eyes were bloodshot, jaw clenched tight. Cade scanned her, noting the fresh bandage across her ribs. She shouldn't have been standing, but he didn't say it. They all fought past pain now. "Let them come," he said. "We've beaten them before." She gave a sharp nod and disappeared back to her squad. The roar grew louder. Engines, walkers, the metallic shriek of Dominion war machines. Shadows moved in the smoke, dozens, then hundreds. Private Callan whispered, voice tight, "God, there's so many." Cade steadied his rifle, his tone even. "Doesn't matter how many. They all bleed." The first wave surged out of haze. Insectoid warriors advanced in tight ranks, weapons glowing, mandibles clicking in unison. Behind them, chitin-plated walkers marched, towering silhouettes with cannons swiveling. "Open fire." Cade barked. The street exploded with muzzle flashes. Human rifles rattled. Grenades arced through the smoke, detonating with bone-shaking force. The front ranks of the Dominion collapsed in screeches, limbs thrashing, ichor spattering stone. But they kept coming. Plasma fire ripped through the ruins, white-hot beams carving walls and men alike. A soldier screamed as his cover disintegrated, his body flung aside in flame. Another dropped, chest split open. "Hold the line." Cade roared, rising to fire burst after burst. His rifle bucked hard, the counter dropping fast. A walker stepped into full view, its cannon charging, light swelling. "Imani!" Cade shouted. She was already moving, a rocket streak from her launcher, slamming into the walker's side. The explosion tore through armor, sending the machine staggering. Soldiers cheered, until another walker lumbered forward, unharmed. The second cannon fired. A wall vanished in light, burying men in rubble. The shockwave knocked Cade off his feet, ears ringing, lungs burning. He forced himself up, pistol drawn, shouting hoarse commands. "Regroup? On me!" Through the smoke, he saw Sergeant Havers, broad-shouldered, fearless, dragging 2 wounded men to safety. Plasma struck him square in the chest. He staggered, dropped his comrades, and fell face-first into the dirt. "Sergeant!" someone screamed. Cade felt it like a blade. Havers had been the backbone of the line, the kind of soldier others followed without question, dead in a heartbeat. For a moment, despair clawed at the edges of Cade's resolve, but he crushed it down. He couldn't falter. Not here. Not ever. He raised his pistol high and shouted over the chaos. He didn't fall for nothing. Hold them. The men answered with ragged fire, fury driving them. The Dominion pressed harder, plasma carving the air, alien bodies piling in heaps. The battlefield became a furnace, smoke, screams, fire, and steel colliding in relentless waves. Cade fought like a man possessed. Shot after shot, reload, shot again. He didn't count bodies. He didn't feel the heat of plasma searing past. He only moved, aimed, fired, ordered, lived. Minutes stretched like hours. The Dominion's advance slowed, then faltered. Walkers burned in the streets, their hulks collapsing into rubble. Warriors broke formation, scattering in confusion. And then silence. The last plasma burst faded into the smoke. The battlefield lay in ruins. Dozens of Terrans sprawled in the dust, some still groaning, most still forever. Dominion corpses littered the avenue, the stench of scorched chitin thick in the air. Cade lowered his pistol, chest heaving. His hands trembled, coated in grime and blood. Around him, survivors slumped into cover, too exhausted to cheer. Imani stumbled back, launcher empty, face streaked with soot. We held them. Cade nodded once. For now. Callan appeared, dragging a wounded soldier on a makeshift stretcher. His eyes were wide, haunted. "They're pulling back, sir." "We!" His voice cracked. "We lost so many." Cade gripped his shoulder, grounding him. "And because of them, we're still here. Don't waste that." Callan swallowed hard and nodded, though his hands still shook. The men gathered, silent, staring at the body of Sergeant Havers. Someone whispered a prayer. Someone else clenched their rifle until the knuckles went white. Cade stood over them, voice carrying through the ruin. "We'll mourn him. We'll mourn all of them. But not now. Not while the enemy breathes." He swept the street with his gaze, eyes burning. "The Dominion thinks today weakens us. They're wrong. Every man and woman they kill makes us sharper, harder, more dangerous. That's the cost they'll pay." The silence that followed was heavy, not with despair but with resolve. Imani saluted him, blood running down her arm. "Orders, Captain?" Cade looked toward the horizon, where smoke curled into the blood-red sky. "We dig in. They'll come again, and we'll meet them the same way. No ground given. No surrender. Not ever." The soldiers straightened, battered but unbroken. In the command chamber high above, Archduke Vareth watched reports flood in. His mandibles clicked in agitation. Too many casualties. Too much resistance. He lashed the table with one claw. Sparks flying. "Impossible," he hissed. "They should be finished." An officer bowed low. "Excellency, the Terrans fight beyond reason." Vareth glared, voice sharp as a blade. "Then we end reason itself. Burn their city to dust. Tomorrow, no human stands." The city's bones were still smoking when night fell. Craters glowed faintly where plasma had kissed the earth, and the air stank of charred stone and blood. The Terrans gathered in the hollow shell of what had once been a civic hall, its marble columns shattered, Roof half collapsed. Lanterns cast weak halos over haggard faces. Captain Elias Cade leaned over a salvage map, spread across a broken table. His fingers traced the ruins, stopping at the jagged lines that marked the Dominion's encampments. Every inch was enemy ground. His men watched him in silence, waiting for an answer he didn't yet have. Private Callan broke it first, voice soft. "Sir, if they hit us like that again, we won't hold." The words hung heavy, unchallenged. Even Sergeant Imani stayed quiet, bandaged arm resting across her chest, her eyes sharp but sunken. Cade straightened. "You're right. If we keep waiting, we'll drown in fire." He tapped the map hard enough to crack the paper. "So we stop waiting." Imani's brow furrowed. "You're suggesting a strike?" Cade met her gaze. "Not suggesting. Declaring. The Dominion thinks we're cornered. Let's show them we still bite." A ripple passed through the room. Fear, disbelief, then something else. Hope, faint but real. Imani leaned forward. "If we move, we need a target that matters." "There is one." Cade slid a marker across the map, settling on a canyon outside the city. "Their forward command post. If we take it out, we cut their coordination. They'll lose their grip." Silence again. The plan was reckless, maybe suicidal. But it was movement, not waiting for death. Callan swallowed hard. "That means we go tonight." Cade nodded. "We move in darkness. We leave nothing standing." Hours later, the Terrans crept through the ruins, shadows among shadows. The night was cold, stars veiled by smoke, the only light the distant glow of Dominion camps. Their boots whispered over rubble, rifles hugged close, nerves stretched taut. Imani moved at Cade's side, whispering, "You're sure they won't see us?" "They're looking for survivors hiding, not soldiers striking," Cade murmured. "That's our edge." They reached the ridge overlooking the canyon. Below sprawled the Dominion post. Towering signal pylons, bunkers carved into stone, supply crawlers lined like beetles. Dozens of warriors patrolled in precise circuits, their weapons gleaming faintly in the dark. Cade crouched low, eyes scanning. He could feel the tension behind him, the men waiting for his word. "This is it," he whispered. "Imani, rockets on the pylons. Callan, lead the demo team on those crawlers. The rest, hit hard, vanish faster. We're not here to fight them head on. We're here to cut their spine." Imani smirked faintly, the kind of smile born on the edge of death. "Understood." The silence broke with fire. A rocket streaked into the night, slamming into the nearest pylon. The explosion shattered the air, throwing shards of steel into the sky. Almost instantly, rifles barked, grenades flared, and Terrans poured fire into the camp. Dominion warriors screeched, stumbling into chaos. Patrols broke formation, scrambling to respond. But their coordination faltered. Signals cut, orders lost in static. Callan sprinted through smoke with his team, packs of explosives strapped across his back. They ducked plasma fire, skidding behind a crawler, setting charges with frantic hands. One after another, the beasts of war went up in fireballs, lighting the canyon like a dawn of flame. Cade moved with precision, rifle hot in his hands. Each shot deliberate. He advanced through confusion, his men covering every angle. Imani reloaded fast, voice carrying above the din, second pylon down. Another rocket streaked, detonating in a thunderclap. Dominion screams filled the night, their soldiers stumbling, blinded by chaos. "Fall back!" Cade roared. The Terrans pulled out as fast as they'd struck, fading into the ruins, leaving the canyon a maelstrom of fire and wreckage. Behind them, Dominion forces flailed in disarray, commanders screaming in static choke channels. By the time Cade's squad regrouped in the shattered hall, exhaustion weighed on every step. But there was no mistaking what had just happened. Callan dropped his gear, sweat plastering his hair to his face. We actually did it." His voice cracked into a laugh, wild and disbelieving. "We hit them and we lived." Imani leaned against the wall, grinning despite the grime. "We didn't just live. We crippled them." The men looked at Cade, waiting for his judgment. He let the silence stretch, studying their faces. They were bruised, battered, smeared in soot, yet their eyes burned brighter than he'd seen in weeks. Finally, he said, the Dominion wanted to see extinction. Tonight, they saw defiance. That's our weapon. Not numbers, not firepower, defiance. The soldiers straightened, pride hardening their spines. Imani spoke low, so only Cade heard. You've given them something to believe in again. He shook his head. No, they gave it to themselves. All I did was point. Far above the battlefield, whispers spread. Neutral traders, hidden scouts, distant colonies, all listened to intercepted Dominion reports. Terrans had struck a Dominion command post. With nothing but scraps and willpower, they'd torn a hole in the warlord's campaign. Rumors moved faster than fleets. Some called it madness, others bravery. Many dismissed it as exaggeration. But the seed was planted. The Terrans were not finished. They were fighting. In his war chamber, Archduke Verith raged. Holograms flickered across the table. Destroyed pylons, burning crawlers, scattered corpses. His mandibles clicked furiously, claws gouging deep grooves into steel. Insignificant vermin, he hissed. How dare they scar my fleet? An officer quivered, bowing low. Excellency, their strike has disrupted coordination. Reinforcements delayed. Morale shaken. Verith's eyes burned, then drowned them in fire. Double the bombardments. Let no stone remain unbroken. I will crush their spirit if I must grind every inch of this planet to ash. But even as he raged, unease coiled in his chest. The Terrans should have been erased. Yet they clawed back, again and again. It was not strategy that unsettled him. It was something deeper, something he could not quantify. Back in the ruins, Cade stood on the balcony of the shattered hall, watching dawn bleed into the horizon. His men slept below, huddled in corners. Two spent a move. Imani joined him, silent at first. Then, you know this paints a target on us. Cade's jaw tightened. Good. Let them come looking. Let them see what legends are made of. The wind carried the scent of smoke and steel. The city was broken, its people battered. But for the first time in weeks, hope stirred. Not fragile, not faint. Burning. And in that flame, humanity stood. The sun rose blood-red over Kaler's ruins. Its light drowned beneath the glow of descending warships. The Dominion had come in force. Towering carriers blotting out the sky, their shadows stretching across the broken city like a shroud. Captain Elias Cade stood on the crumbling steps of the hall, watching the armada take position. Behind him, his soldiers stirred awake, faces hollow but eyes burning. The night's victory was already legend among them, but the morning promised only annihilation. Imani limped up, adjusting the strap of her rifle. They're coming with everything. Cade nodded, calm though his chest tightened. Then everything is what we'll take from them. He turned to his men. 100 weary souls, scraped raw by fire and loss, but unbroken. They waited in silence, knowing what hung in the balance. They think today ends us, Cade said, his voice carrying through the ruin. But history isn't written by the victors. It's written by those who refuse to vanish. You want to be remembered? This is the day. Right here. Right now. A low murmur rose. Agreement. Resolve. Rifles clicked. Blades drawn. Explosives checked. The ground trembled as Dominion transports slammed down beyond the ridge. Ranks of insectoid warriors spilled into the streets, a tide of chitin and steel. At their head strode Archduke Verith, armored in black plates that shimmered like oil, his height dwarfing his soldiers. His voice boomed across the city, amplified through the Dominion's comms. Terrans, you are already extinct. This is mercy delayed. Cade stepped forward, blood crusted on his jaw, defiance carved into every line of his face. Funny thing about extinction, he shouted back. We never got the message. The armies clashed. The Dominion surged in flawless ranks, plasma lancing through stone, warriors cutting down defenders. The Terrans answered with savage precision, grenades exploding at choke points, sniper fire cracking skulls, rockets reducing walkers to scrap. Every street became a furnace of fire and grit. Cade led from the front, rifle spitting until the counter dropped to zero. He drew his sidearm without pause, moving like a man who had long accepted death, but refused to stop breathing until it took him. "Push them back!" he barked, dragging Callan to cover. His plasma scorched the wall where the boy had stood. Imani took position above, her launcher blasting another wave apart. "Left flank's holding," she called. "Barely." The battle roared around them, a storm of sound and fury. Dominion ranks buckled under relentless defiance, but the tide pressed harder, driven by Verith himself. The Archduke carved through rubble with a massive blade, his warriors rallying to his command. Cade saw him through the smoke, towering unstoppable, a nightmare made flesh. He knew then the war wasn't just numbers. It was him. Kill Verith, and maybe the Dominions would crack. "Cover me," Cade shouted, breaking from the line. Bullets and plasma tore past as he sprinted, vaulting shattered stone, cutting down warriors in his path. He reached the open square where Verith waited, the alien's eyes glowing cold. "You dare face me?" Veritha's voice was thick with contempt. Cade lifted his pistol, the last round chambered. "Someone's out to teach you how legends are made." He fired. The shot slammed into Veritha's chest, staggering the Archduke, but the armor held. With a hiss, Verith swung his blade. Cade barely rolled aside, the strike cleaving stone. They circled, predator and prey, though neither agreed on who was which. "You are fragile," Verith growled. "Bones that break, flesh that burns. What is humanity but weakness dressed in fury?" Cade's grip tightened on his knife. Fragile things shatter. Fire spreads. He lunged. Steel met chitin, sparks flying. Verith struck back, each blow shaking Cade's arms, each near-miss carving stone. Cade fought with desperation sharpened into mastery, ducking, striking, dodging again. His knife found cracks in the armor, shallow cuts but enough to draw ichor. The Archduke roared, enraged. His clawed hand clamped down, hurling Cade across the square. Pain seared his ribs, vision blurring. He forced himself up, spitting blood, refusing to stay down. Behind him, the Terrans saw their captain rise again. A ragged cheer tore through their throats, louder than plasma, stronger than fear. They surged forward, renewed, hammering the Dominion line with ferocity. Verith turned, distracted for an instant by the echo of defiance. Cade seized it. He sprinted, knife reversed in his grip, and drove it deep into the gap at Veritha's neck joint. The alien screamed, staggering back, ichor flooding over his armor. Cade pressed close, snarling into the Archduke's face. "Tell your Dominion, humanity doesn't break. We endure." With a final shove, he ripped the blade free. Verith collapsed, shaking the ground as he fell. His warriors faltered, their ranks collapsing in disbelief. The Terrans roared, driving them back, fire and steel cutting through confusion. The Dominion line shattered. Cade dropped to his knees beside the corpse, chest heaving, vision dimming. Imani rushed to him, dragging him upright, her face streaked in blood and dirt. "You mad bastard," she breathed. "You did it." Cade looked past her, to the men cheering the ruins, to the rising sun bleeding gold through the smoke. His voice was barely more than a whisper. "Not me. Us." Callan stumbled forward, eyes wide, clutching his rifle with shaking hands. "Sir, the Dominion. They're retreating. They're actually running." Cade's lips twisted into a grim smile. "Good. Let them run. Let them spread the word." The surviving Terrans gathered, battered, bloodied, but unbroken. They stood among the ruins, not as victims, not as ghosts, but as proof. Across the stars, rumors would spread of Kaler Prime, where humanity stood against the impossible and did not fall, where soldiers walked into fire and came out legends. Cade closed his eyes, exhaustion pulling at him, but he forced them open once more. He would see this dawn. "Remember this day," he rasped, voice carrying to every ear. "Humanity doesn't vanish. Humanity becomes legend." And in the silence that followed, broken only by the wind over shattered stone, the truth settled into bones of every survivor. They had not only lived, they had become eternal.